Good morning, Tehmina Khan is here, and in this video I will explain to you the concept of completing the square method, which is the part of O-level mathematics CAIE syllabus. And let's start with this. So what is the completing the square method is? We know that quadratic equation can be solved by different methods. One of the method is factorization. So quadratic equation cannot always be solved by the factorization method. So what are the other two methods? So the other methods are quadratic formula and completing the square method. You can use graphical method also, but we are not talking about graphical right now. So these two methods, because quadratic formula you all know, which is x is equals to minus b plus minus root b square minus 4ac over 2a. So in this video we will focus on the completing the square method. So what is a completing the square method? If we bring any quadratic equation into this form, and this part is called perfect square, then it means we have used completing a square method to bring it into this form. And once the quadratic equation is brought into this form, it is very easy to solve, right? So we will see the example here why it is easy, and then after that we will see how to change any quadratic equation into a perfect square using a completing square method. So for example, if you look at this perfect square form here, x plus 1 whole square equals to 9. So if I take a square root on both sides, so this square will cancel by the square root sign, and here I will write plus minus square root, which is equals to 3. So after that I will one time solve with plus 3 and one time with minus 3, and this will give me two roots, x equals to 2 and x equals to minus 4. So now we will see the example here in which a quadratic equation will be changed into perfect square using the completing square method. So this is the example I have taken. Now I was starting with simple example, because when you are changing any quadratic equation into perfect square using the completing square method, you need a coefficient 1 here. I will take in the other example the case in which the coefficient of x square will not be 1. Okay, so let's start with the simple one. So the first step you have to do when you are changing applying completing square method is to take the constant to the other side. Now it is plus 9. When it will go to the other side, it is minus 9. Now it is not necessary to take it to the other side, but let me explain one thing at a time, then I will tell you what if I do not take it to the other side. So students mostly find this the simplest and easiest. Okay, so after taking constant to the other side of the equation, now this side will change into perfect square. And what is the technique of doing that? You see, I have copied down this as it is, x square and 8x. Now what is the term I am adding here? The technique is you add a term which is coefficient of x divided by 2 and square it. I am repeating, coefficient of x, which is 8, divided by 2 and square it. So whatever the number is here, you will divide it by 2 and then you will square it. So this is the term you will add to change this side into perfect square. Now this is the rule of the equation, that if you are adding something on one side of the equation, you add it on the other side as well to keep the balance of the equation. So here I am doing same thing, 8 divided by 2 and squaring it. After that I am just simplifying it. It will become 4, and I am writing 4 square. I am not writing 16 here. You can, there is no harm, but just to explain it, I am telling you what I am doing here. Now this thing can be written as x plus 4 whole square. Whenever I solve this question on the board, the first question is always miss where 8x has gone, because they only see x and 4 and a square, and they think because the square is on top of 2, so that's why square is here. Now for this you need to understand or recall the algebraic identity method, which is a plus b whole square. When you expand it, what does it become? A square plus 2ab plus b square. right? So I'm applying the same algebraic identity here. If you will expand it, x plus 4 whole square, you will get this back. I will show you in a minute, right? And this side I'm simply calculating and I got 7 here. So this is my perfect square form using the completing square method. So this is what we have done, right? I changed this side into x plus 4 whole square. Let's see how. Actually, if I expand it, this is my a and this is my b, a plus b whole square. So I'm applying algebraic identity, which is what? A square plus 2ab plus b square, right? And right now my b is 4 and my a is x. So what do I get if I expand it? Did you notice? Same question, which is here. So that's why this can be written into this form directly by picking up this term from here, this term from here, and a square on the top overall. So this term which does not look present in it, but actually it is there, after expansion you can get it, right? So this is how I'm getting it. Now let's solve it, because the purpose is to solve the equation using the completing square method. So now I'm taking a square root on both sides. So with the square root I will write plus minus here. This root will cancel by this square root. So I'm getting x plus 4 equals to plus root 7, and one time I will use minus root 7. And using the calculator simply I will get this answer and I will get this answer. So I have gotten two answers. In 3 significant figure it will be minus 1.35 and this will be minus 6.65. The requirement of the CAIE exam or Cambridge exam is that you have to give answers in 3 significant figure if it is not specified in the question. So I was talking about that if I do not take 9 to the other side, then how will I handle it? So because some children get confused, miss, should I take it or should I not? So see here, now I'm not taking it, right? So actually these two terms will be changed into perfect square term. So what I'm doing here, x square plus 8x, and which term we add? What did I tell you? You will take the coefficient of x, divide it by 2 and square it. So the term you are adding, the same term you will subtract. To keep the balance of the equation, the term you are adding, the same term you are subtracting, and plus 9 as it is. In the previous case, the same question, when I took 9 to this side, so I was adding the term on both the side. You see why? Because algebraically, if I take this term to this side, it will be what? Plus, right? So it doesn't matter if you are adding on both sides or if you are adding and subtracting on the same side. It is same. So after this portion will change into perfect square. Sometimes a student says, miss, why don't you cancel it? If I will cancel it, I will get the question back. That is not the purpose. Purpose is to use half part of it to change this into a perfect square. So this will become 4 square, and this I'm simply simplifying it. 4 square will become 16, and here using algebraic identities it will become x plus 4 whole square minus 16 plus 9, which is equals to 7, and this is exactly what we have done. Now I can take 7 to the other side and then take square root on both the side. So now let's see another question. Like I said, I will take the example in which the coefficient of x square will not be 1, right? So now here is the example. If the coefficient of x square is not 1, you have to make it 1. Only then you can apply completing square method, or I would say it would be easy to apply then. Okay, so what I'm doing, first of all, I'm taking 2 to the other side. You again do not necessarily need to take it to the other side, but just what I have observed with the passage of time is easy for students. So because constant has nothing to do when we are changing this side into perfect square, so we just take it to the other side, right? So this will become minus 2. Now to bring 1 here, what will I do? I'm taking 2 as a common factor out, so this will become 7 over 2. So if you are not very comfortable with this, just remember the number which you are taking out here will be divided by this. Okay, so it will become 2x square plus 7 over 2x equals to minus 2. Or in other words, you can divide this whole equation also by 2. So it will become x square plus 7 over 2x equals to minus 1. Because the same 2, when it will go to the other side, it will become minus 1, right? So either you straight away divide here by 2, or you take common factor out and then bring 2 down here. So now, after this, I will add a term here to change this into perfect square. And the same term which I will add here, I will add to this side to keep the balance of the equation. Now what did I tell you? How will you decide which term will be added? Remember I told you take the coefficient of x, divide it by 2 and square it. So let's see. Okay, so here was the question. So coefficient of x is 7 over 2. And I told you the term you will add is the coefficient of x, here it is, divided by 2 and square the whole thing. The same thing I will add on the other side to keep the balance of the equation. Now 7 over 2 divided by 2 will become 7 over 4. Right? Now the question always is how? So let's see here. Actually when you write 7 over 2 divided by 2, in other words it is 7 over 2 divided by 2. When you change division sign into multiplication, the number get inverse. So 2 will become 1 over 2. So it is 7 divided by 4 whole square. So this is how when you divide a fraction by a number, these two numbers multiply. Okay. Now, so I have this now. Again this will act as an algebraic identity. I will take x from here, 7 over 4 from here, and plus sign. If you have minus sign here, you will copy down minus sign. Here you will always add a term. Remember this thing, right? The third term will always be added. So after this, now you will take a square root on both sides. This will cancel out. Here you will write plus minus. Use the calculator. So you get 1.4361, right? So then 7 over 4 will go to this side. One time you will solve with plus sign of 1.4361 and one time with minus sign. So here I am solving it with plus sign first and I got this answer. Then second time I am solving it with negative sign. This is a basic algebra and I hope all of you understand. Simple calculation. Okay, so this is how I have found two roots. Now one concept I would like to reinforce here where students mostly make mistake. If you see this is an equation, right? So if I take common 2 out, I can take it to the other side and 0 divided by 2 is 0. Or in other words, I can divide this whole equation by 2. So if I divide this whole equation by 2, it will be x square, 7 over 2 x, sorry I forgot to write x, 7 over 2 x and plus 1 equals to 0, right? I am dividing throughout by 2. Whereas, okay, this is the same thing which I have told you verbally. Whereas if equation is not given, rather expression is given, right? It is not here equals to 0. The common mistake is students are so much used to of dividing it by 2 that they divide this also by 2 and they say x square plus 7 over 2x plus 1. There is no equals to 0. You cannot divide it by 2. This is an expression. So yes, you can take common factor out. So if you take common factor out, because you know now I'm showing you how to express this expression into perfect square form, right? So I know only this term, these two terms will change into perfect square. It has nothing to do with this. So I'm keeping it outside. I'm just taking two common factor out. Okay, so it will be 7 over 2 and 2 is out. So only x square is left from here. If you multiply 2 by 7 over 2, you will get it back. Okay, so now, so here is the term I will add or subtract. So which term? Exactly coefficient of x divided by 2 and square it. So can you notice? I have written this as it is, written this as it is, and I'm adding a term. Again, coefficient of x divided by 2 and square it. The same term I am subtracting to keep the balance of the equation. Because it is an expression, there is no question writing it on the other side. So you have to write it within the bracket, right? Because there is a common 2 outside. Okay. So after that, this will become what? 7 over 4. I have just shown you in the previous example. So now I'm just simplifying it. Okay. This 2 is still outside. This term will change into perfect square. So it is x plus 7 over 4 whole square. Here I am applying a square, 49 over 16. This 2 is outside. Now this 2 will multiply by this term, which is this whole. And then this 2 will multiply by this, right? So now here I am showing you the multiplication. Okay, 2 is multiplying by this term and by this term. So this will simplify, you will cancel it. It will be 49 over 8 because 2 ones are 2, 2 8s are 16. And then this you will simplify, it will become 33 over 8. So this is your completing perfect square form, and you will see the importance of it later on when you will learn the sketches of quadratic. So thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you have learned something from it, and if you liked it, please like and press the like button and subscribe button. You will get the indication of my new videos. Take care. Allah Hafiz.